Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm really pleased to bring to you Steve McKinney. And let me tell you about Steve. He is someone who truly embodies strength, resilience, and faith. Steve is a best-selling author, fitness coach, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is that close?
Jiu-Jitsu.
All righty, Jiu-Jitsu.
There you go.
My grandson does that, I should know. Dedicated to helping people age strong and live healthier lives. As the owner of Fitness and More Inc., he has helped countless individuals transform their lives, their bodies, through his unique 3W approach to fitness. Steve is also a church pastor, integrating faith and mindset into his approach to wellness. In his book, The Gospel of Fitness, he breaks down the science of strength training and nutrition in a way that's practical, sustainable, and life-changing. Today, we're diving into how he can help you build strength at any age with short workouts, cut through fitness myths, and develop a mindset that keeps you in the game for life. So please join me in welcoming Steve McKinney to my podcast. Steve, so happy to have you on.
Thank you so much, Vicki. That was a great opener. I love it. So thank you so much.
You.
And the jiu-jitsu thing is hard to say. You just
I know, jiu-jitsu.
Yes,
yeah, you got to say it 12 times, right?
You bet. So, but once again, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, as we go into this, I chose our theme to really be what we just spoke about a minute ago, and that is the 3W approach. The simple fitness formula for strength at any age. And my audience is varied in ages. And so for those of you that are in your 20s and 30s that are listening, take heed to what you say, is what we say, because you will be at an age later where fitness maybe isn't always on the top of your list. And for those of you that are my age or older, remember, it's never too late to start, right?
So true.
Right. So we have two simple questions to start before we get into the meat of this. And that's really first to tell everybody, where do you live? Where do you call home right now?
I am in Pontoon Beach, Illinois, but it doesn't have a beach, okay? It's called Pontoon Beach. And we're probably 10 minutes from St. Louis, so we're right on the Missouri border. And so I've been here for 7 years now. I had my gym in a place called Madison, Illinois, maybe 10 minutes away as well. And so we moved out here, moved our gyms. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And
awesome. Yeah. So sad. I mean, do you just use that as like a magnet to get people to come to your city? Oh, there's a beach.
Yeah, I always just say, hey, come here and don't see the beach, because you won't see it. But yeah, and it's interesting too, because my gym is 2 minutes one way and the church is 2 minutes the other. And in between, they have this one place called Long Lake. And so that's the only thing that I could have thought that's where they thought they had a beach. I'm not really sure.
I thought you were going to say, and there was no lake either.
Yeah, no, there's a lake. But it's interesting now that you mention it. I need to do some history on that to find out where that name came from. I need to, that way I can kind of let people know why there isn't a beach here.
Awesome. So I gave really of what you're doing today and the great things that you've accomplished, but I'd love for you to share your journey,
Sure.
sharing those moments that really were inspiring to you, the aha moments, the pivotal times that really the challenges may have informed or inspired what you do today.
Yeah. So when I'll go just like you said, there's a couple of moments in time that kind of shape you and mold you. And I go back to like when I was 9 years old. My grandfather was buying me a gift for my birthday, asked me what I wanted, and I said I want a set of weights. And so he took me to Kmart. Do you have Kmarts in your area?
They're
Okay.
all gone now. They are all gone.
Yeah, I think they're yeah, I don't think we have any in our area. But anyway, he bought me a set of plastic weights. They were called Alcatron, and they had a big K. The K was a K, Alcatron, and I just really loved it. I just loved lifting weights. And then fast forward, I was very much in athletics. And then in 1990 on Christmas morning, my mother passed away in my arms, and so that was kind of obviously a significant moment there. And then I kind of took my home and opened a gym in my garage. And I invited people to that gym. I probably had 50 monthly members, which did not make me the most famous guy in my neighborhood because we're parking everywhere. And, so my neighbors were complaining about that. But what I noticed was everyone had questions. Hey, could you make me a workout? Hey, could you make me a routine? And I just started looking at this and I thought, people need one-to-one training here. So I became a personal trainer um, way before that was like the in vogue thing to do. And I
Mhm.
remember ordering a personal trainer handbook out of the back of a Muscle and Fitness magazine. I sent $5, a check for $5 to a PO box, and I got this little booklet, and it just talked about how to be a trainer. And I started from there, and it just began to evolve. And that business really took off, and that's been
Mm,
over 30 years ago. And so,
mm.
and it's really honestly doing very, very well. And the book has helped a lot as well because it gives me, it gives you credibility, but it also explains the simplicity of what I'm going to talk about today.
Awesome. All right. And a little bit later, we'll tell you how you can get that book. But we want to just get into the questions. So the first thing is just can you explain 3W approach
Yes.
and why it works so well for long-term health?
Yeah. So the 3W approach, and if, when I have, and once again, I've had clients over the years, I've done book tours, I've done seminars for people, and I always open it up for question and answer. And over the years, I've just looked at those questions, and they're just they're very broad, but people are very confused about fitness. What do I do? How do I do it? Do I go here? Do I go there? Should I run? What should I do? And so what I did was I took all of that information and I just made it simple. And when I go to do the speaking things, I just tell people hold up three fingers and makes a W. It's weight training, walking, and watching your diet. And I'll explain each one. The number one thing, and as you said earlier, even the 20s and 30s year olds, even though I targeted this for older people, I have a ton of younger people who use this system. And also I have athletes that use this system. But the number one thing that happens as we begin to age is we lose strength. That is the
Mm,
number one thing. And from that strength loss, energy loss, you don't feel as good, your joints don't feel as good. Strength training is the number one anti-aging pill. It's not even a question, with all the research out
mm,
there. But I was saying this for years, just telling people, as you age, this is the safest way to age. Now, what I do with my strength training is to make it very simple. I do it very slow and controlled. The movements are slow and controlled. We try to be progressive, getting people stronger. But the big thing is safety. And the last thing you want to happen is you want to go to a gym to start working out and you get hurt because you don't know what you're doing, or you get bad instruction. And I've had that
Mm.
happen over and over and over. People come to me and say, well, I'm not real sure about a personal trainer, because I've had trainers and they had me flipping tires and jumping on boxes and I end up getting hurt. And I'm like, I never do those types of things. What
Mm.
I do with training people is I make sure that uh, they're anatomically correct in the way that they move the weights, meaning that every function, every weight training movement we do is for the function of how your body should move. And when I get you strong in those areas, it'll make your whole body strong. And when your whole body gets strong, then you could do this, you can still do the things that you love to do as you age. For me, I have a grandson, love hanging out with him. I can get on the floor, I can get up, 64 years old, still very active. And that's awesome to me. So that's why I just make it very, very simple. And I only have people do 2 sessions per week, and both of those sessions are literally 15 minutes or less. And that's what makes that so simple. So that's the weight training portion. A lot of caveats to talk about with the training, but we just don't have time to get into all that. But I'll give you the other two. Walking, I tell people 30 minutes a day. Now, the research, people say, oh, you have to have 10,000 steps a day. That's simply not true. And actually, there was an article, I just read it maybe yesterday, or even could have been today. Now they're changing it to like 7,000 steps are enough. Then had somebody else say 4,000 steps are enough. To me, a 30-minute walk at a casual pace combined with weight training. And the reason I say that is the weight training is actually, that's more helpful to your heart than anything you could do as well, if you do it properly. So do a 30-minute walk after dinner. Where I came up with that is a guy named Ellington Darden, and he's written over 70 books on fitness. And one of his things is the 30-minute walk. I went to his home, hung out with him for hours and just asked questions and, on fitness and things like that. But there was a study done in one of his books, and I read it. This guy, he did 3 different tests, and the tests were on when your body burns the most calories. What's the best way to go about that? So he tested after dinner. He tested 30 minutes of walking, then he tested 30 minutes of walking and eating, and then he tested 30 minutes of eating and walking. So the 30 minutes was on the walk, but he changed the order of everything. And what he concluded was eating and walking increased your BMR, which is your basic basal metabolic rate, by 25 to 30%, provided you do it right after your dinner. Optimally, I tell people to walk after dinner. It helps burn calories, it helps increase your metabolism, and it helps with the digestion. With my clients who on are on fat loss diets, I tell them that's super important, but it's important for all of us because it gives us
Mm.
that time to go outside. If you can get in the sunshine, get that fresh air, that sunshine. And I always tell people, take your phone with you. You don't have to be looking at anything, but on your phone. But if you look around and you see something beautiful, a sunset, clouds, whatever it is, look for those things, take pictures,
Mm.
captures
Yes.
those moments. It's really good for your brain. And then when it
Mhm.
comes to watch, does that make sense? Does that make
It
sense?
does, absolutely does.
Okay. And then when it comes to watching your diet, you have to define your goals there. And probably 80% of my people come to me because they want to lose fat. And fat loss happens when you reduce your caloric intake, or basically when you reduce the amount of food that you eat and you create a very slight calorie deficit, maybe 500 calories per day. And what I mean by that is you find what your uh, the amount of calories you burn while doing nothing, your daily amount of calories that you burn, and then you reduce 500 calories off of that. And that'll help with fat loss because you want the fat loss to go very slowly. Most people over diet, they do too much
Mhm.
work, they overstress their body. So if I'm looking at fat loss, I'm going to reduce my caloric intake as a whole. within reason, so they don't starve myself. I'm going to keep my protein intake up. Now, that's a
Mhm.
big thing now that they have with research on how much protein you should eat. Here's the problem with that. Put a very specific amount of protein to eat for each individual. And that's just not feasible for everyone. They talk sometimes I'll hear a pound of a gram of protein per pound of lean muscle tissue. So that could be 120 grams of protein for a lady during the
Mm.
day or 150 for a man. It's just an awful lot of protein. So you have to experiment with that. You also have to make sure, because for me, if I ever eat protein, it causes me stomach problems. So I just eat a moderate amount of protein. I don't freak out about any of that kind of stuff. Your body's pretty good with helping in that area. So weight loss has more to do with reducing your calories than exercise any day of the week. The
Mhm.
thing with the reason that the combination of the 3W works best is because I need to make sure that I'm stimulating muscle during my weight loss because I'm not really after weight loss. I'm after fat loss. There's a
Correct.
difference.
Mhm.
Weight loss
Yeah.
could, like, we have the Ozempic things out now and everybody's using it. And my take on that, because people ask me, hey, what do you think about this? Well, my take on it is this. Think that you look at obesity and you look at the side effects of obesity. Then you look at the Ozempic and you look at the side effects of the Ozempic, and then you weigh out what's going to be better for you in the long run. And I think I think that using those types of drugs and I'm not a drug person, but when I just work with a lot of people who struggle with diet, and I'm like, hey, if this helps you, then let's go for it.
Mhm.
And you have to be careful. There's no side effect on every drug, but you have
Yeah.
to be careful with that. As far as clients who want to remain healthy or even gain a little weight, once again, same thing. I stimulate muscle, but if I'm trying to gain weight, I increase my calorie intake just slightly, but I do it with quality food. You don't want to just gain fat or you don't want to just gain
Mhm.
weight. You want to gain muscle if that's possible. And then with
Mhm.
maintenance, it's just eat good quality food. And then people like to kind of overthink this, but as far as what foods should I eat, it's really very simple. And it's a standard answer. Stay away from processed food. Eat real food. Eat food that actually will spoil if it's left out. The fruits and vegetables and lean meats and
Mhm.
I just think just a balanced diet is super important.
Yeah.
So combining all those things together, and it's actually very, very simple to do. I did experiments with people over the years as a trainer, and it wasn't what I didn't experiment with what could they do. What I experimented with was what could they do for a long period of time
Mhm.
and not just a short 6 week thing.
Yeah.
It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. So does all that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did medical weight loss when I was just approaching 60, and it was high protein, low dairy, low carb. But it was just that. It's like it didn't have you denying yourself things. It was just really being aware, which I
Yeah.
think is really
That's
important,
it.
journaling what you eat, because you really
Mm.
don't realize whenever, especially the afternoons and things, what you're putting into your mouth, and until you write it down. It's like, oh, didn't
No,
think I was doing that.
you are so right. I just had a consult. I do a lot of online consults, and I did a consult with someone in another state, and she has 3 kids, and she was saying, I just feel bloated. I'm, blah blah blah, and I go, okay, here's my advice. I said, most of the time when people are in your position, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to start a real strict diet, and then you're going to want to cook for you and then cook separately for your kids. And I said, it's never going to work. I said, as a parent, you're busy, you're tired, you're worn out. So here's my advice. Take what you're cooking for your family. And if you're cooking 3 meals a day, just eat those 3 meals a day, but only eat one plate. It'll save you the counting, it'll save you the thinking. Just eat one
Hmm.
plate. And so I check in with her, like, hey, how's the diet doing? How's everything going? And she said, I have, I had no idea how much extra snacking that I did throughout
Hmm.
the day. And so,
Yeah.
and it's going to create a low level of discomfort, of hunger. That's part of the journey, but it's better than
Hmm.
feeling bloated and weighed down as well.
Yeah. One of the other things that, I increase my water intake a
Huge.
lot. And that usually, what they explained to me was really what you're not really hungry or thirsty.
Yes.
And so your body's telling you you need to drink. And so then we'll go grab a chip or something. But when I increased the water, it really did get rid of those hunger pains. And then things like replacing a chip with an apple
Yes.
was a big difference too. And I had diabetes when I was pregnant with my first child. And so a lot of what I learned to maintain, control the diabetes when I was pregnant, I used then as well to really understand.
Makes perfect sense. And you're right. And one of the things I write about too is to add 1 gallon of ice cold water per day. And it burns 123 extra calories because your body has to warm that water up. But it's also
Oh.
good for flushing, making you feel full. So yeah, the
Mhm.
water drinking is huge in the middle of that.
Yeah, and the weight training I think is great. My dad is 90 and he goes to Planet Fitness. There's a shout out for you, Planet Fitness. But he goes there every day and he walks on the treadmill for that half an hour. And he also does light
Yeah.
weights.
Yeah.
And he's acts like he's 60 or 70
I
years
love
old.
it. I
Yeah.
love that. That's awesome. That is awesome.
So aging gets blamed for weight gain. Um, how much of it is actually aging versus lifestyle that's causing that weight gain, do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's probably a combination of both. When we age, once again, we go back to losing that muscle. What the muscle does, the muscle is like the catalyst for your metabolism. Less muscle, slower metabolism. So that's going to be part of it. The next thing, though, is lifestyle. And I think that's a way bigger thing. And as people age and they lose that muscle, they don't feel as good. And
Hmm.
so they don't get out as much. And if you think about it this way, I can't remember I remember who it was. I have a client and she was telling me I used to train her husband and he changed his job. So I haven't seen him in a long time. And she said he's gained weight. And I said, well, what do you think happened? She said, well, he went from being in the shop to being behind the desk and he's not lifting anymore. So that lifestyle change. And think about it this way. You're in the shop and you're moving around all day. You're going from here to there. Maybe not burning a ton of calories, but you're active and you're moving. So then let's say that you go into the chair. Well, you've already reduced the amount of calories your body is burning per day. And then think about this. There's always snacks in the office for people, and one handful of nuts, one handful of whatever, candy bars or whatever, a small candy bar. So we're burning less calories, but we're also adding calories, even though it's a very little amount. And that's what causes that weight gain. And it's
Yeah.
just so subtle in the way that it works. So lifestyle has such a huge factor when it comes to that whole thing.
Yeah. I
So
have to agree. You know, I have been terrible about going to the gym, but I took a job 2 years ago as a part-time job working in a retail shop where I'm a cashier or I'm out on the floor. And so I get easily my 6,000 steps, but I'm bending, I'm up, I'm over, I'm stretching, I'm doing all those things, and I'm not able to eat for that
yeah,
7 to 8 hours. And
exactly.
and so I haven't gained any extra weight in all this time, because of the activity that I have during the day. Because, other than that, then I'm sitting at the computer here doing my other businesses.
No, absolutely. I love that. And that's true. And if and a lot of people don't really understand what's happening in the middle of that. And it's like just educating people. But I think one of the things that you said that was so important was journaling and keeping track. Just I think that is so vitally important. to make sure you know what's going on in the middle of it. Then you can start putting things together. And so, yeah, I think that's really great.
So we're running low on time, but
Sure.
with so much of you go online and you're like bombarded with advice.
Yeah.
How do you cut through the noise and really find what is the right solution that really actually truly does work? And
No,
I hate, I love AI, but I really hate now that people are using AI images of celebrities and things to act like they're endorsing a product that they haven't even tried or used. So,
yeah.
talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so I'm going to answer it by saying this, buy my book because it's going to help you. I promise. It's not expensive. It's not like I'm trying to hawk a bunch of books. It's just that I've put my time in and I have that's really what this book is about. It's just simple and I have had so many people reach out to me and just say that was an easy read and it makes sense. It's very, very simple. It's not flashy, it's fact. And you have to remember, and when I say this, and I don't mean anything disrespectful to people who do this, because I just tried to do it in a sense, but on the internet, the supplements, the workout programs, all of these things, the influencers, they're trying to make money. And the problem is, if you're an influencer, you need to keep putting content out there. And you don't care what the content is. You just want content that draws attention. For me, I simplify everything. So even on the podcasts, I pretty much say the same things. But when you're trying to influence people to follow you or, buy your supplements or whatever, you'll put anything out there. And I think also, I think you have to be careful of supplements. I'm a supplement person. But you have to
Me
be
too.
careful of what you're taking. It's super important not to just randomly, because they're, in a sense, a form of medicine. So I just went through that whole thing, and that was one of the reasons I wrote the book, is to simplify these things for people. Just do this. I promise you, it will help. But the problem with that much information, everyone thinks that they got the magic bullet. Life doesn't work like that, and
Mhm.
there's no magic supplements. All this is get into the gym, stimulate muscle, do it safely, take your walk. The next time you go into the gym, just repeat it. Rest 3 or 4 days. Try and get a little bit stronger if you can. So you just cycle through. It's just a lifestyle. And that's the best way
Yeah.
to go about it.
Persistence and consistency.
That's it right there. Yeah. And it
Awesome.
compounds. It does. It
Yeah,
compounds.
it does. It
Yeah.
does. And I think it's really great that you just talk about, you know, doing just little bits every day will compound over time. And I think that's really something people should understand. You won't see overnight huge
No.
changes, but even, for my anti-aging supplements that I have for my anti-aging business, we take a picture of you the very first time I meet you. And then we ask you, like every couple weeks or every month, depending on what you're doing, take a picture. So, like for you, if you get his book, take a picture of you the first day before you start reading it, and then every week, just like take another picture so you can see subtle changes. You'll see loss in your face. You'll
Yeah.
see, a little bit your clothes fitting a little looser, maybe. So,
That's
definitely,
progress. Yes, for sure.
yeah. Yeah, so it's another form of journaling. It's just in
Yes.
pictures.
Love it. Love it.
Well, we're going to go ahead, as always, to share my slide that has contact information. If you're listening, you can go to my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling, so please do subscribe. So for those that are listening, the website you want to write this down or take a picture of it if you're watching is Fitness and More, MORE, fitnessandmore.net, fitnessandmore.net. Facebook is his name, Steve.McKinney.397, Steve.McKinney.397. Instagram is Steve McKinney Fitness. And LinkedIn is Steve McKinney a bunch of numbers. Just search Steve McKinney. And I'll turn it over to Steve. He's going to give you his call to action for today and talk a little bit about the book.
Okay, yeah. So I'm generally easiest way to get me to is you can email or Facebook, or even there's an intro form on that fitnessandmore.net.
Website.
Yep, and we can kind of go from there. And then the book, what I did was I explained all of the 3W approach to fitness. I talk about the things that cause us problems, what we're dealing with, what we're fighting against, the aging process, sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss, and how to fight that. And so I go through all of those particular things, and it really does help. I'm also available for workouts actually through the internet. I just did one this morning from someone in the Netherlands. So I have people all over the world that I get to train, and that's another option. We just do one-on-one, train people from home for those who can't get out. So anyway, there's a
Awesome.
lot of things that we do there, and it really does work well. But I always like to leave everyone with this thought when I do a podcast. Just remember this. Um, Exercise is medicine. And the way that I look at it is weight training is medicine for your body. Watching your diet is medicine for your biology. And walking is medicine for your brain. And all
Yeah.
of those things fitting together seems to work pretty well in just keeping you healthy.
Awesome. All right. So we have the three W's. So as he showed you, the three W's, and that's walking, weight management, weight training, and also your diet. So what was
Watching your diet.
watching your diet. So
Yeah.
get everybody, make sure you do that. And to get Steve's book, use the link that's Get My Book. You'll take you right there where you can get it. You can also get it on his website. So thank you so much for being an awesome guest.
Thank you so much. That was just great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you again.
So, as always, I remind our audience that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.